Assetto Corsa Rally is unmissable. In fact, I think it's an essential game for any racing or sim racing fan. I think this is actually my favourite game of the year. Not even sim racing title, favourite game of the year. And that is extremely high praise coming from me. Now, I haven't been paid by Assetto Corsa. I haven't been instructed to say anything or not saying in this video. I've been given a review code, but I'm going to be buying this game anyway with my own money, the same way I did with Assetto Corsa Evo and Le Mans Ultimate and plenty of other games, because I want to support the developers when they're doing something good. So why is this game unmissable? The connection you have with the road is unlike any other sim racing game I've ever played. Now, I do want to say at the beginning, I am in this video here mainly using a Simulcube wheelbase with a nice Simulcube wheel, nice pedals and a handbrake as well. However, I did also play on my Fanatec base with a non-rally wheel because annoyingly my WRC rally wheel is on the older quick release. Fanatec, sort out your quick releases please. But basically what I'm trying to say is that this is high-end equipment and it's unbelievable, the best experience I've ever had in sim racing. Your mileage may vary depending on the equipment you're using. For example, if you're not using a direct drive wheelbase. So in this video I'm going to show you wet gravel like we've got here. I'm going to show you dry gravel. I'm going to show you wet tarmac. I'm going to show you dry tarmac. I'm going to show you why Assetto Corsa Rally is a love letter to rally fans. And remember, I've gone and spoken with the developers. I've spoken with them at length about their passion for rally, trying to understand why they're doing this. This is not being developed outright by Kunos. It's being developed by Supernova, who are a group of insane rally fans. And to start with, I need to give you a little bit of context so you can understand where I'm coming from. So my exposure to rally as someone who grew up in the UK was very much the likes of Richard Burns, Colin McRae in real life, who were absolute legends. They were household names. Obviously the Subaru and the Ford Focus and all those incredible cars. But then also I was interested in Tommy Mäkinen in the Lancer, and then also when the OGA and Loeb, and I went to Goodwood and interviewed some rally drivers. In terms of rally games, Colin McRae Rally 2.0 was a great game for me, but actually one of the first games I ever played in my life alongside Crammond's GP1 was Network Q Rally, and I was playing Network Q Rally on a keyboard. So I'm playing a rally game on a keyboard back in the day. This makes me ancient, by the way. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're also ancient like me. But there was something just so addictive about the concept of a rally stage and the essence of trying to push yourself but not making mistakes, or the risk reward. So you can be a little bit rabbit and tortoise. You can be rabbit sometimes, tortoise other times, and coming to the end and seeing what your time is on the stage. Personally, for me, I've always been enthralled and kind of mesmerised by the idea of rally when it's been available to watch on TV, and I think WRC have done a pretty terrible job of marketing rally, to be honest. But seeing the cars go through Kenya, seeing Monte Carlo, seeing Sweden. Myself personally, when I was younger, I cycled to Asia on my bicycle, and that was kind of like a rally experience for me. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, also a massive sim racer. Now, look at this shot here. The amount of detail in this shot that is so unnecessary. Look at the water dripping down. You can see how the suspension is working. Just unbelievable. Look at the road texture underneath. This shows you how deep they have gone into rally. And what I'm going to show you next is some of the, what I say, like it's a love letter rally fans. And I love how they've just ignored, I think, any kind of licensing or whatnot. And they've just said the truth. They've just said, this is what rally is about. So let me show you. So this is the menu screen of Assetto Corsa Rally. And then they have this area called Rally Encyclopedia. And I absolutely love this. Like, I just respect them so much for doing this. Personally, as a YouTuber, I'm always trying to make things as accessible as possible. That's why I do beginner masterclasses and such like that. And this just tells you from A to Z, I think pretty much everything you need to know about rally. Like, it has been written as a labour of love. It's been written in a way that is informative. It's accurate. And like I said, it just talks about everything. Even cars they don't, I think, probably have licenses for to include in the game, or drivers. They just talk about it. Like the Audi Quattros here, they talk about Carlos Sainz, Colin McRae. They talk about the legendary cars. And we'll get onto the cars in the game because there are a wide spectrum of cars. And like I said, I don't think WRC is in the best place right now. I think EA's treatment of racing games in general has been shameful. And for some reason, no YouTubers want to call out EA on this. Maybe they're terrified. I don't care. Codemasters were just like a melting pot of incredible racing games, including Dirt Rally series. And what EA have done is absolutely shameful. So, but I don't think anyway that WRC license that's now gone to Nacon, I think, is that important, because when we think about rally, we think about things like the heyday of Group B rally in like the early 80s, but also kind of like the late 90s, early 2000s of rally as well, like these kind of like powerful eras of rally. And we don't really care too much about what's going on in rally at the moment. We've even seen with the Rally 2 champion, he's going across to Super Formula, if I remember. So he's not even going to go into like the top level of rallies. That kind of says everything. I'm just showing you here some of the incredible, like for me, this is much better done than Gran Turismo, by the way. Gran Turismo, to access all this stuff, you'd have to have conversations in the cafe, and it's very stodgy. Here you can just absolutely browse it yourself. It lets you know about the pace notes. It lets you know about the regulations, what you need to do in terms of stopping the car, like starting the car at the beginning of a stage, how the penalties work, how the repair system works. Absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely love it. And that kind of love letter to rally continues in the way that you can appreciate the cars. So here I'm going to choose this Group B Lancia Rally Monster. Like, this is really, to have this in the game is unbelievable. Even for myself, obviously I wasn't alive during Group B, but it's just almost, like I said, mythical. This is the kind of soul of rally that doesn't exist anymore in contemporary like Formula One or contemporary rally. In my experience, is when rally was dangerous. There were legends driving the cars, and we actually get to drive their vehicles here. So you have this, where you can explode the car out and see all the doors and the boot and everything. And I think you'll be able to take photos as well. So it's a really nice area to appreciate the cars. Again, I like that they've done this. I like that it's not just a menu system. You select the car and off you go. It makes the cars kind of feel real. And there are actually a decent amount of cars in the game. In fact, there are more cars than tracks available. There's not a lot of tracks in the game at the moment. Now, this is early access, and I think the flag bearer for early access racing games at the moment is Wreckfest 2. I think they're doing a really good job with building it nice and slowly, and I hope that Assetto Corsa Rally is going to take a similar approach. Like, we don't need like a crazy amount of next level hype here. More stages are going to come, more cars are going to come. Like, imagine when they're going to add, surely areas like Monte Carlo, areas like in Sweden. I would just love to do like Kenya and things like that, more UK stages as well. But here we are in Wales in the Lancia. They did say in the materials with the review code that this car, I think, is a little bit unfinished. So, but I'm just going to put a disclaimer here. I absolutely love driving it. It's unreal, like the acceleration, the brakes as well, the grip it has. It really gets your heart rate going. And yeah, I just hope they're going to release more cars like this. And again, maybe it's easier for them to license legendary cars where a lot of the IP rights in the cars will have expired, than it is to do current cars where you probably have to go through WRC and get that license, and WRC license seems to be fairly expensive. Even EA got rid of it, incredibly. But let's talk a little bit about the handling in this Lancia. So we're on this wet tarmac in France, in Alsace, weather I'm used to given the part of the world where I've grown up, and there's a lot of power in first gear. By the way, I feel like there's another discussion going on at the moment in sim racing, which is do you need to really upgrade your wheelbase to the new wheelbases coming out? So for example, I'm on a Simicube 2 Pro here, the Simicube 3 is out. I went over to Simicube, interviewed them, they were like, it's next gen, but I was like, okay, but how much, does it really matter? I think more important than upgrading your wheelbase is trying different disciplines of sim racing. You are going to get much more diversity and enjoyment out of doing Assetto Corsa Rally if you've never really done rally before than you would from upgrading a Simicube 2 to a Simicube 3, or like a MOZA R16 to a MOZA R25 or something like that. So again, it's a new lease of life. I'm not exactly sure what the price is going to be of Assetto Corsa Rally. I would expect it to be £30 or less. If it's £40, I think that's too much. If it's £34, I think it probably justifies it. If it's £29, I'm thinking bargain. If it's anything cheaper than £29, it's an absolute bargain. There's not a lot of stages in the game. I want to be clear about that. So you have 2 regions in Alsace and Wales, and in those regions you have 2 different let's just call, I'm not going to use the word stage, that's too complicated. You have 2 different areas, so that's 4 areas in total now. And then in these areas you do them front and back, and then like the first half front, first half back, second half front, second half back. So you do end up feeling, I've been playing the game quite a bit, and you do end up feeling like you are going over the same roads, which I do feel like takes away from the essence of rally, which is a ultimate reliance in your pace notes rather than the memory of what corner's coming up. And this is, I would say, one of the most impressive features about Assetto Corsa Rally, and why, coming back to me saying at the beginning this is one of my favourite games of the year, when you're driving this game and you are in tune with the pace notes, and by that I mean you hear, clearly I'm not in tune with the pace notes there as we go over this tree, but when you are in tune with the pace notes, and I'll show you some better driving later on, like this Lancia is quite difficult for me to drive, but when you're in tune with the pace notes and you know it comes up 3 left, hairpin, and then the second later you know that you need to be on the brake, it's almost a trance-like feeling actually. And it's one of personal discovery as well. You can see here I'm not going to give up in this stage, although I think I do shortly kill someone. This is what happens if you kill someone, it kind of freezes. The way it freezes with the motion blur to me makes it even more like a horror movie. And you get, if you want to know, you get a 30-second penalty for running someone over in the Lancia. But again, look at the graphics here. This stage, you know, like I said, not too many stages, but then you have all of the weather on it. The weather's dynamic as well. So you can do this in the dry, you can do it in the wet, you can do it in cloudy, you can do it in sun. And let me show you now. Let's go on to some dry gravel. Let's see dry gravel. Okay, so here we go. Wales, dry gravel. So this track looks completely different in the wet, but obviously the layout's the same. It's 11.6 kilometer stage, so it's one of the longer stages. And if they can just keep adding stages like this game is going to be a phenomenal success. I think this game is going to... It's only limited, I think, by the number of stages, in all honesty. I think the amount of cars is fine. I feel they can trickle the cars. There's already a really good selection of cars, in my opinion. Maybe it would be good to have something that's like super modern, but again, I've explained why that's difficult. It would obviously be great to have like the classic Subaru and, you know, Colin McRae's Ford Focus, and some of the later Citroens as well. Like, that'll be awesome. And the Mitsubishi. So fingers crossed they'll come. Maybe they've got them in the bag and they're going to add them in future updates. I don't know. But I mean, the detail here, the graphics as well. I know it's Unreal Engine and it gets some slack for that, but just when I'm beasting it here on the 4090. I've also been playing it on my 4070 Ti, and it's been doing really well on the 4070. You can you know, lower the settings quite a bit, but on these settings where we're looking at high, epic, ultra, like some of the high-end settings, it just looks incredible, especially the textures. Now there is some slowdown from time to time. You'll see there, that's natural slowdown that I had in the game. That wasn't to do with the recording, and I think on this stage you might see a few more. Not sure if that's texture streaming or whatever it is. But in terms of the road, look at the definition of the stones on the road, and I showed you that camera earlier where you can see into the wheel arch and the suspension, and you can... It's the best force feedback I think I've had in any game. It's really unbelievable. It's a million miles away from something like iRacing, ACC, even Le Mans Ultimate that has like kind of a grainy like R-Factor 2 force feedback. This force feedback, you feel like you are absolutely connected to the road. It's about 1 billion miles away from Rennsport, where you feel like you have a limited relationship with the road. Here you are digging in, and this is what I remember when I was reviewing Rally in Gran Turismo Sport and Gran Turismo 7, and I was like, I really hate this Rally. I hate the Rally in the newer Gran Turismo games because you feel like you're just skating on top of the surface and you never dig in. And whereas the Dirt Rally games, you felt like you really digged in. This is like Dirt Rally on steroids. Like, corners like this where there's camber, you can feel the car tipping and leaning more on the outside wheels and those wheels digging in. Like, it's properly simulated. And this is again the love letter to rally. You saw some camera angles I did earlier where I showed you the pace notes in the car. Like, the pace notes are actually written out. The driver's hands device is kind of like all messing about as well when you're driving the car. You know, the way that the gear shifting works and the handbrake is uncanny. It looks very similar to how I'm driving. So it's just they've really gone all out here, and they've dropped it at the Sim Racing Expo. It was top secret. They invited me to something the day before. It was top secret. It came out, and there hasn't been that much fanfare, I'd say, about it. They're kind of keeping their powder dry, but I just think word of mouth in this game. And like I said, I don't have an affiliate link for this game. I'm not paid to make this video. I just genuinely really love this game, and having been burnt by so many early access games before, having been burnt by games that are purportedly not in early access. For example, I paid the $100 for the Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown pre-order, got burnt by that. People bought the Rennsport Deluxe. It wasn't the game they expected, got burnt. I've no doubt that Project Motor Racing is going to be you know, a rougher game on console than it is on PC. I think some people get burnt by that. It's only Wreckfest 2 that I think has really done early access in a super responsible and kind of like nice way, and now Assetto Corsa Rally. And the core gameplay is there. It's one of the few videos as a YouTuber, and by the way, please make sure, if you're new here, please make sure you subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. It really helps me out. It's one of the few videos... Whoa! It's one of the few videos as a YouTuber where I'm making this video now and I'm looking across on my rig thinking, I kind of want to play again. I kind of want to have another shot. So this is me doing the dry gravel. Let's have a look at some dry tarmac to make sure that you're seeing everything. So here we go then. Some dry tarmac for you in the Hyundai. Let's see how we're going to do here. So higher speeds, it's not on the loose stuff. We're going to have more grip available. And by the way, when I'm talking about more stages, it's also because I think they've done an amazing job with the environment. Like, it just looks incredible. The draw distance is amazing. And we know from rally games in the past, like including the Dirt Rally series, when you do stages where you have these incredible vistas, just how satisfying, how almost calming it is. This might sound like an oxymoron when you're driving along on the verge of losing control, but you may agree with me in the comments. There's something very calming about Rally. Now, this is also a fairly solitary game. Like, there's leaderboards, but it's essentially like a single player game. And for someone who's very much addicted to online racing, online competitive racing, again, I find this quite soothing and calming, and I'm alone in my thoughts. It's a game that I'm going to struggle to... In fact, I'll be honest with you, it's a game that I'm going to find impossible to stream and chat with you while I'm racing the game. So if I'm doing GT3 racing, I'm chatting with you. Whoa. Whoa. We've gone off the circuit. Can we rejoin? If I'm doing a GT3 racing, I can chat with you as I'm driving. Here, I'm going to need to be so absorbed into the call-outs from my co-driver. A few improvements, by the way. I would like if there was a little bit more humour in the game. I feel the game is inherently funny. I feel like it's inherently hilarious when you miss your braking point and you zoom off the side of a cliff. Like, I think that's just low-key one of the funniest things you can do in racing. I would like if the pace notes from the commentator were kind of like on board with that. Where he's kind of saying, what are you doing? Are you braking the car? Or, you know, calm down, man. Stop crashing. We've got to bring this back in one piece. Like, I would love if there's a few one-liners. Again, there's a bit of humour in the game with the people who sometimes are on the track taking a photo and running off. Like, I think that's incredible. So the people who make the game, I think, have a good sense of humour, having interviewed them. And I'd like to see that come out a little bit as well in the game. Hairpin. Am I using the handbrake? No, I'm not using the handbrake. In terms of a handbrake, I did attach the Logitech handbrake here for it. I don't think you use the handbrake in rallying as much as you think. Obviously, when you're on the handbrake, you've only got one wheel on the one hand on the wheel, and when I place a handbrake, it's not possible to shift down when I'm on it. Whoa! There's something very nice about this stage where you go into the woods here, and everything closes in, and there's some adverse camber, and there's some drops. So here's some dude running out of the way, and it kind of like your vision actually closes in. Absolutely huge crash. Just knocked some sign off there. But you might remember, I think we may have done, yeah, we did this stage in the Lancia, but doesn't it feel completely different? It feels completely different for me in the dry, but I don't want to be in a position where I'm memorising stages as well. Like, I want to be relying on my pace notes, and I got into a nice rhythm at some point with the pace notes where I was able to actually kind of almost subconsciously use my subconscious to drive. Not in a way where if I'm doing a circuit, again, this is so fascinating to talk about. If I'm doing Monza, I've driven thousands and thousands of laps at Monza, and there's not that many corners at Monza. So my subconscious, when I let my subconscious drive at Monza, it's to really maximise hitting apexes, running wide on the exit, arcing lines, building up speed as fast as I can. Whereas letting my subconscious drive here involves also listening to the pace notes. So it's using slightly different parts of my brain in a satisfying way. It's itching. You know when you've got like a little itch and it's really satisfying to itch it? This is what Assetto Corsa Rally is to me. And I just get on with it more than I think a lot of the other rally games. I was driving one of the old WRC games recently, and again it just kind of feels like too much skating on the surface. Whereas whatever they've done here with the engine and the physics model just feels like you're absolutely biting in to the surface. You can see the way that the car pitches. I find, to give you an example, in previous rally games, sometimes I would drive it in third person, especially on a controller, to kind of flick the car about and see what the car's doing. I cannot really drive this game in third person because I have to be so in tune. We're going to go off. Because I have to be so in... Oh, we close to the end? No, we're not. Because I have to be so in tune with the pitch of the car. Such detailed environments. I'd love a little bit more nature there. Maybe some butterflies, maybe some rabbits, maybe some squirrels. Just think that'd be awesome as well. I'm nitpicking now. No, we're going to get on the handbrake. Yes, on the handbrake. Not really the line. Okay, let me show you some more footage. Okay, so this is a new stage where it's dry, but it's wet. So it's not raining, but it's kind of muddy. And I'm in the Peugeot 208. And as a Peugeot driver in real life, I approve of this. Now, this car is quite fun to drive. It's front-wheel drive, like my RCZ. And it doesn't have a crazy top speed, but it really feels like it digs in. My hunch is going to be this is going to be a fantastic beginner car. I did try all the other cars like the Mini, like the Stratos, which is quite an interesting handling car. But I feel like the 208 is, if you're struggling at the beginning, the 208 is a car where it's really going to teach you the fundamentals of rally and kind of penduluming things, because you need to really use the weight of the car to swing it round corners, and that means doing not necessarily like Scandinavian flicks, but just kind of penduluming it. Again, there's lots of details in the rally encyclopedia and Assetto Corsa Rally. This game is just incredible. Like, it's a great looking game. It runs good on both PCs I've used it on. It is a newer game, so it would be interesting to see how it handled on my 4060 Ti. But on the 5070 Ti, absolutely fine. I do think you want a round wheel for it. Like, you won't be able to do this game on a GT3 wheel because you need to kind of let the wheel go through your fingers a bit. Although, interestingly, it does when you're choosing the cars in the garage. It lets you know the wheel rotation. Like, some cars have 540 degrees, some cars have well over 1,000. That's quite a nice touch. You can also access the settings at any time. Look at the vista here. Even that little meadow at the top on the right hand side, little van there. And again, at some point we're going to see some fans. I really don't like games that it's an afterthought for them what the vibe is, what the emotion is. So for example, in Rennsport, I'm guessing for performance reasons, or it's an oversight, the grandstands on PS5 Pro are always empty. I'm going around Hockenheim and the grandstands are empty and I just don't feel it. It's like playing a rock concert and to an empty stadium. It's like it feels worse than playing to a small crowd of 50 in a packed bar, if that makes sense. So here I love that they've put someone has placed these the marshals there and the people there at the right moments. They're clapping. I love it. Like I'm really in tune with that. This is more of an emotional game, I think, as well. It's not something at the moment where I'm trying to chase every 10th of a second, obviously, but I really do think I'll get there. I really think I'm going to be spending a lot of time playing Assetto Corsa Rally and hopefully sharing stages, hopefully doing time trial competitions. Should be a great game for us as a community to do, because we can set our lap times. We can maybe start to think about setups and different tyre pressures and whatnot, because there are things you can do with the car setups. Look at these dudes, get out of the way. Luckily the Peugeot is so slow in a straight line, I'm not going to be able to run you over. But basically, whoa! I've had a great time going a bit off-road here. A great time in Assetto Corsa Rally. I'm super excited it's coming out. I think credit to the developers. I was very cynical at the beginning when they announced this. I was like, guys, Assetto Corsa Evo is not in a good state right now. That is well behind on the roadmap. What are you doing developing a rally game? But actually, I think Kunos are just really publishing it. And unfortunately, I think we don't quite make it to the end of the stage. There's the end of the stage. But the Peugeot is rolling down the hill. So let me know in the comments if you want to see me do more rally games. I would love to. And yeah, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.